Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I just wanted to answer a question in regards to infusing oils. I did just fairly recently have a video come out on just an overview on infusing oils, but one thing I didn't address because it's something I simply don't think about, and that is, can you use one of those electric infusers for creating your infused oils? And my general answer is yes, you can. However, it's really important, especially if you have an infuser that has a set heat or you're going to apply heat to it at all, that you know the herbs that you're going to infuse, what kind of heat tolerance they have. More delicate herbs are not going to tolerate higher heats. And this also applies to the oils you're going to use, that you don't want to use heat sensitive oils. Like usually any kind of extra virgin oil is going to be more heat sensitive than those that have been somewhat refined. Just two of the things you got to consider before you do any kind of oil infusion where you have applied heat. Now, even though I've never used one of those electric infusers, to the point that some people ask me, well, can I use this or that? And quote, they just mentioned some kind of brand, and I don't know what that is. And really what it comes down is I have no interest in one, and I'll explain why in a bit. But again, it's just a matter of, if that is what you want to do to speed up the process, yes, but you need to know your herbs, you need to know your oils. But I do know that there are certain herbs that actually heat will bring out their medicinal properties better. And even higher heats will do this. So again, you've got to know which herbs that is. Now, the one I tend to think about, I don't use, so it's just not an issue for me. But what I prefer to do and what I've always done is just done a room temperature oil infusion, nothing in the direct sun, which could again also damage the benefits in that herb with the direct sun, though some people do that. I don't do it on a stove because then you're adding the heat. I did my very first oil extraction that way because I followed one person's video and then realized that wasn't a good idea. And so I've never done it again because it was a comfrey one and it just didn't work as good as ones that I later then did just a natural, longer room temperature infusion. So for me, it's simply putting my dried herbs, dried only, into my jar, pouring the oil I'm going to use over it, which most commonly is going to be avocado oil because of its heat tolerance. Even though I'm not using applied heat, it's still going to have a longer shelf life. And I do put it in the warmest room of the house. Sometimes I'll mix castor oil in there if it's something like for my joint and muscle rub oil or my hair oil. And then the very minimum infusion time I go with is 2 months. And so since I always stay ahead on such oils, there's no need for me to have a fast oil infusion. But that's where an infuser can come in handy, because if you need something far more quickly, you can use an infuser. Now, as far as the time it takes, I really don't know to get a good infusion. I don't know enough about that. That's something you're going to have to look into for yourself. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's a day, rather than having to go on a minimum of 2 months. So yes, that is one of the benefits. To me, that's the only benefit I see about having an infuser like that. But honestly, if it is herbs that need to have heat applied to them, they can be done on the stove like I did on a very low heat. You just got to keep a good eye on it. And there's a lot of people that do that. I just stay away from it because there's a lot of herbs that are too delicate for that kind of application. Now, as far as the downside, these are the reasons why I never think about such things, such infusers, and why I have absolutely no interest in buying one, is the cost. Because I have far better things that I would rather invest in. It's just my same thoughts on a freeze dryer. There are so many other things I would rather invest in than a freeze dryer. And then the size, pretty much everything is the same. All the reasons why. the power consumption. So you're going to be using electricity to do this, to run an infuser like that. When I'm doing a natural room temperature oil infusion, I don't need any electricity to get what I need out of that. I just let it set and forget about it until I need it. And like when I was selling skin creams like hotcakes and they just kept going, I had 8 or more jars of oil infusing so I could always stay ahead and always have plenty, instead of running out and then being like, oh, now I got to wait 2 months before. No, as soon as I'd strain out 1 jar of the infused oil, the oldest jar, I would get another one started and put it in the back and then rotate it every time. So that's one way you can stay ahead on the ones that you use the most. And then you also have the space. So I'm not a big one on having a whole bunch of gadgets. I'm going to stick with my basic gadgets that I've used for many years, such as my toaster oven, my blender, and my stick blender. Things like that. I mean, I do even have an electric beater, but I only use that once a year. And it's just a handheld one. I'm not interested in another gadget that's going to take up a lot of space in my kitchen or even in here. Oh yeah, well, and my dehydrators. Let's not forget that. But I just don't need any more things. This is why I have no interest in an Instapot, no interest in an air fryer, no interest in a freeze dryer, and no interest in having an electric infuser. So these are all things that you're going to have to consider. Where are you going to put it? How much is it going to add to your electric bill? And what are you going to do if you can't depend on it because you don't have any electricity? And the cost. I mean, for some people, it might be a very valuable, useful item. But again, there's other things you got to consider, like your more delicate herbs and can they handle the heat? And by applying heat at all, which I think some of those you might not even have to apply heat, and it speeds up the process simply by macerating the herbs and mixing them up, and that's good. But again, you can get a fairly similar result by just shaking your jar of herbs daily, if that's what you want. But to speed up the process, yeah, great idea. And you just got to figure out what's best for you. And maybe you don't want to have 8 to 10 jars of an oil, that you have to rotate through. You just rather make it when you need it. And that's understandable too. So I'm not dogging on anyone who chooses to go that route. I'm just answering the question that, yes, you can do that. Just keep in mind some of these points that I brought up, and then explaining why I'm just not interested, and why I also tend to forget to bring it up because I just never think of it. Please share with us your experiences down below. What's your favorite way to infuse your oils? Do you like to do the more natural infusion, or do you like to use an electric infuser? What's your favorite brand or favorite type? And just share with us your experiences down below, because there may be people who really need that information. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.